and welcome to the Revolut Insider Podcast, where we explore Revolut's rocket ship from the inside out, one episode at a time. I'm your host, Alex Carril, and joining us today, we have Nadia Pavlovic. Did I say that right?
Yes, correct. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you, Nadia, for being with us.
My pleasure.
You are a superstar recruiter who searches for the best talent to fill positions here at Revolut. And whether it's for brand, digital marketing, development, you really have a keen eye for scoping out talent.
You could say that, yes.
You do. It's okay. You can have a humble brag. No problem. I invited you to share with us what it's like being a recruiter at a fast-growing fintech like Revolut. And hopefully we can get some tips from you that can help out our listeners who might be looking for new career opportunities.
Alex, thank you so much. It's actually really challenging for me to be here right now because I'm normally, doing your thing. I'm the interviewer.
That's right. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. Well, you were changing roles here. So.
Exactly. It's so good for me to practice so that I can actually understand what are the things that my candidates are going through.
There you go. Yeah. It's been a while, I'm sure, since you've been on the other side.
100%.
Right?
2 proper years. Exactly.
Well, thanks again for being with us.
Thank you.
You have quite an interesting backstory because you don't just have one fun fact, you have several.
Yeah, that's true.
So one is that you're an avid climber.
Yes, I'm really passionate about climbing and hiking and mountaineering in general. I think I got it from my mom, by the way. She's a professional alpinist.
Wow.
And she's also a mountaineering guide in Serbia. So seeing her happy and fulfilled when she's going through all those obstacles when you're reaching up for heights just inspired me a lot. And I can actually see really strong connections between working at Revolut and always aiming higher compared to hiking and mountaineering.
And also that get it done attitude, right? To keep going and persevering, climb that mountain.
Exactly, because once you reach at the top, it's just totally worth it. Yes, it gets challenging, but it's worth it.
And speaking of heights, you were a flight attendant also.
Yes, I started flying back in 2015, and I have more than 5,500 flying hours in my passport.
Wow.
I was flying for Qatar Airways. That's where I learned about the 5-star standard, never settling for anything average. But yeah, I felt like it's time, to land and pick a good place to settle. So here I am in Barcelona being a recruiter. I'm still talking to people from all over the world, which is exactly what I wanted to find.
How incredible.
Yes.
And that's what's great about Revolut is that we have individuals from all over the world, from many countries working together.
Yeah.
And you help to find people to fill these roles.
Yes, it sounds very challenging, but it's super exciting.
What I love about how you describe yourself is as a matchmaker for careers.
Yes. That's what I feel that is my calling here in this life, in this planet Earth, 100%.
It's quite poetic, really. I love that.
Thank you.
Can you tell me more about this and why you consider yourself a matchmaker of sorts and what drew you to this career path in the first place?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. Thank you so much, Alex, for asking. So let me give you an example. I always felt that my purpose in this world is to actually help people. So I have this feeling that when I'm actually helping people to find their dream careers and their dream positions, I'm actually helping them to find their true purpose in this world. But on the other side, if there is a fantastic brand such as Revolut, I'm also making sure that we are getting the highest quality candidates and professionals to help us grow around the world. So I practically really feel like I'm in the right place in the right time at the moment.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
So how did you become a recruiter in the first place?
It's actually a funny story. So one day when I decided to find a full-time job here in Barcelona, I had an interview for Disney. I was invited for an interview for a customer service role. And after the interview, the recruiter came to me and she was like, we've been thinking maybe it makes more sense if you're on the other side of the table and you actually join our recruitment team. So this is not something we normally do, but we would actually like to extend you an opportunity to train you, coach you, and for you to become a recruiter for Disney and to actually work together in our team with us.
How did you feel having this vote of confidence from these strangers that you didn't know?
It was overwhelming at the moment, but at the same time, it's almost like my true calling was there coming to me. I was like, yeah, sure, let's do this.
Wow.
And 4 years later, here I am.
I love that. That's incredible. Can you tell us what it's like in your day-to-day to be a recruiter now at Revolut?
Yes, absolutely. So I would say that each and every day looks different. And the way I'm waking up and seeing the interviews I'm going to have can really determine the path of my day. So that means that there are days when I'm interviewing a lot of people from the APAC region, India, Singapore. There are days when I'm interviewing people from Mexico, Brazil, the US, and there are days when I'm just interviewing people all over Europe, depending on the positions that we have open.
It's incredible that you have that opportunity to talk to people all over the world.
Yes, I think that was also one of my number one requirements after flying that I gave myself when it comes to searching for a job. So I really feel that I'm blessed that I'm talking to people from all over the world, because you literally learn every day a new thing about the way people perceive professions, careers. There are just so many different aspects and perspectives on things that we just take for granted. And I really like that, because every day I go to bed and I think, oh my God, I learned so many different things just by talking to people from all over the world.
I mean, and you had that before as a flight attendant too, right? So I'm sure that helped in your experience.
100%. I think emotional intelligence is really important in this job, as well as cultural intelligence, right?
Awareness,
Awareness, 100%, because there's no right or wrong, right? There is just difference. So being open-minded to hear people's perspective is a really important thing in this job.
It's especially important with Revolut, right? We're a growing company. We have around 7,000 employees. What are some main things that you look for when searching for top talent?
I would say number one, being ambitious, especially when it comes to matchmaking that we talked about, right? Revolut's core values is, right, never settle. So never settling for average. I would say number one, you actually need to be surrounded by people that are very passionate about what they're doing and that are disrupting the industry and coming up with creative solutions all the time. The second thing perhaps would be persistence, being disciplined, understanding clearly that there are some obstacles along your journey. But just as it comes to climbing and mountaineering, right? There are some paths that are lovely, you're just enjoying the scenery, but there are some paths where you really need to push through. But once we get there, it's totally worth it. So that would be the second thing.
You're no stranger to creative solutions. How long have you been at Revolut?
2 years now, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah.
How has the growth been that you've experienced?
Impressive. I can give you an example.
Please.
When I joined the company, I was an employee number 51 here in Spain. Now I believe that we have over 800 employees in Spain only. And just giving an example, when I go to the office, seeing that, first of all, we already grew to changing 3 offices and having a bigger office with so many people. Sometimes I look at the group of the people and I'm like, who are these people?
I'm always like, oh, this is a great opportunity to meet new people. Hey, how are you?
Exactly.
You're like, I'm Alex, like, have you seen me on Insider, Instagram, maybe?
I love it. And there were days when I could just go back to the office and I could literally know each and every person. This is not the case any longer, I can tell you.
And how has this impacted your role as a recruiter?
Right. So I feel that I grew together with the company, which is something I'm really proud to see on my own as well. However, on the other side, of course, we have new requirements, we have new challenges, and we have big goals, massive goals. I'm normally helping our core growth department to grow globally, which is basically in charge of growing our user base around the world and the brand awareness. Now we are in these very interesting times for the marketing department, where we are growing our localization team. So right now, for example, we're hiring for roles such as a marketing manager for Greece, Italy, Spain, Germany, and so on. And it's actually helping me to grow. And nowadays, when I'm having my hiring calls with hiring managers, it literally takes me 5 minutes to understand their needs and to understand exactly the talent they're searching for. So, things are getting easier for me because I can almost read their mind, because I've seen a lot in these 2 years. And looking back in times when these people were individual contributors and I hired some of them, now they are managers. It's just so easy for me to understand their needs.
And what opportunities are you seeing for potential candidates? How does it affect our hiring process, this growth that we're experiencing?
So I would say that Revolut is all about quality over quantity. We don't necessarily are searching for a certain timeline to hire perfect talent. It's always making sure that we find a perfect match for both sides. It's not only making sure that the hiring managers are happy, but also making sure that we find a candidate that is going to be 100% happy with the role. At the same time, Revolut is paying a lot of attention to career path and growth within the company. So every role that we create at Revolut basically has already predetermined career development path. And I am so happy. I'm all up for it because, when you're hiring someone, you just want to make sure that this person continues growing and developing themselves. And I am really proud to say that Revolut can offer that.
And you're the one that's identifying these potential matches, right?
Exactly.
And again, I'm just referring back to this matchmaker because we want this long-term fit, right?
Correct. Even if that means that sometimes you absolutely have to be honest and share feedback and be like, I'm really, really sorry, but in a long term, I don't see that this would be a right fit for you or for the company. Unfortunately, that's part of my job, but I guess it only makes you stronger.
Of course, yeah. Well, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with more Revolut Insider. This podcast is brought to you by Revolut Ultra. Enter a world of exclusivity with the Ultra plan from Revolut. From world-class travel to supercharged savings, Ultra is your ultimate Revolut experience. Ultra is only available in the UK and the European Economic Area. Terms and subscription fees apply. And we're back with Nadia Pavlovic here on the Revolut Insider podcast talking about recruitment and being a career matchmaker.
I have to say, I love the way you're pronouncing my name and my surname. If I had $1 every time people were mispronouncing my name, I'd be a very rich person.
I agree with you. When I was growing up, everyone would say Carril.
Oh.
Alex Carril. And it's like, no, it's Carril. We just want to put that little accent mark there.
Exactly. So eventually you just give up, I guess.
Yeah, you say, okay,
Whatever.
Carril, call me whatever you want. Nadia, I know you've hired your fair share of new Revoluters. How does it feel to see your recruits now being the leaders that they are in the company?
That's the best part of my job, Alex. I'm not going to lie. I feel that my job has been successful once I see my hires turning into managers at Revolut and coming back to me after a few years or a year and being like, hey, Nadia, do you remember when during the interview process you told me one day I'll be able to build my global international team? Well, here I am.
Oh.
Let's hire.
What are some things that candidates can do to help them stand out during this process when they apply?
Right. So I would say being very conscious of your role that you're applying for. So the most common mistake perhaps is that people create generic CVs and they just apply for random roles, not really understanding the requirements. So say, for example, you want to go into business development or sales. Those are actually two different things. So you cannot just create one-size-fits-all CV.
Yeah.
You actually had to take time to understand the needs and the requirements and alter your CV depending on the role that you're applying for.
So really each one, kind of make a CV,
Correct.
Tailor it to the job that you're applying to.
Exactly. I know it's time-consuming, but it's actually going to get you closer to your goal.
And what is your view on cover letters?
I'll have to be very transparent with you. In 2023, I think we're all too busy to read novels and as lovely as they are, I'm always really happy. They cheer me up a lot because it actually shows a lot of enthusiasm and effort taken by a candidate. Unfortunately, I don't think that they actually put and add a lot of value, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. Are there any other CV or resume tips you can give our listeners?
Yes, never settle, just like our core value says. If you're really keen on getting a role in a certain company or a certain position, don't give up. Learn, take time to adjust yourself, be open-minded, and actually develop the skill set that you're missing. And when you're creating the perfect CV for the role you always wanted, make sure that you have the right keywords included. For example, what does that mean? Say you, for example, want to apply for a job of a business development manager. It's really not likely that someone's going to progress with your application unless you actually mention responsibilities you had as a business development manager at least several times. Yeah.
Okay, so a candidate is now selected. Their CV has been pulled out of the pile of many applicants. What now? Can you discuss the typical steps of our recruitment process and why each one is important?
Yes, I'm very proud to share that Revolut is very structured when it comes to our recruitment process. So I'm very quickly going to walk you through the recruitment process
Great.
of marketing roles, for example.
Okay, perfect.
So there is a screen call, initial call, which is a very informative type of a call where, we want to learn a little bit more about yourself. We want to know your aspirations. However, of course, understanding your background, relevant background, expertise in a specific area. This is also perhaps the moment where you want to share some of your strong success stories and talk potentially about where do you see yourself growing together with your organization. And if this is a perfect match, then we would be moving forward. The next round would be a technical interview, normally with a team lead of this position or somebody relevant from the space. This person would be diving a lot deeper into your technical expertise. So asking for specific examples, success stories, challenges, or even perhaps some very awkward moments where you were given big budgets to manage and things did not work out well. Yes, because we actually want to understand that you're growing, you're learning from your mistakes.
Definitely. So these are these hypothetical situations that they're given to try to find solutions.
But even more than that, we are really open to hear specific examples. So talk to us about your previous specific examples. And if you're including metrics, even better, big bonus.
Great.
Yes.
Okay, you've passed the initial interview. You've passed the technical interview. What's next?
So the third one is perhaps my favorite. It's also at the same time the most challenging stage of our recruitment process. It's called problem-solving interview. Practically, this means that this is a case study where you're given a case to solve on spot. We don't know what are those. Of course, we don't want to over-prepare anybody. We actually want to learn what are your problem-solving skills. That means that there are three most important aspects or values assessed in this stage, and that is how structured you are, how data-driven you are, and how analytical you can be when you're given a certain challenge to solve.
I was actually a bit intimidated going into the problem-solving interview myself.
I'm curious to hear what was your case.
It's funny, actually, because my problem-solving interview was recruitment-related.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Very nice. I think that the reasoning behind these decisions of giving you a certain super random cases is because we don't really want to test your expertise in this step. We want to understand your reasoning and your perspective when you're facing a challenge.
Do you have any advice for people that are going into this step?
Yes, be data-driven, ask for metrics, make sure that you're always assessing every potential perspective, and when you're feeling that you're running out of questions, relevant questions, move on in a structured manner towards a potential solution. And also additionally, there's no one specific solution. Each person can bring their own solution, and it's all about hearing different perspectives.
And I actually felt really supported by the person who was interviewing me.
I'm so happy
because,
to hear that.
Yeah, they helped navigate you, and it's not like you're doing everything on your own. It's a dialogue, right? So I think if you approach it as conversation that you're having, where you can ask questions and they're responding, you should trust the person is going to guide you into the right direction.
Right. And I think additionally, that's because we already want to see the cultural fit at the same time, because what we actually do here at Revolut is we're constantly navigating through challenges. So we want to hear your perspective on it, but we also want to see that you're open to adjust and to work together with your colleagues and coming up with the best solution possible.
And what's the last step? Okay, you've made it past the problem-solving interview. Where are we at now?
Big bar raiser.
Okay.
Yeah, no pressure.
And tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. So normally, say, for example, for our marketing roles, they're conducted by our senior vice president partner of Revolut. He wants to make sure that he meets each and every candidate joining the department of core growth. The bar raiser interview is an interview where we conduct several assessments. So it's a cultural fit and team fit interview at the same time, but also making sure that you are ambitious and that you're here to stay, grow, and develop yourself together with the company. So normally, when I'm having a conversation before this interview with my candidates, I do tell them, make sure if you're enjoying having coffee, to drink a very big pot of coffee, a cup of coffee, because you are about to be asked a lot of questions.
Okay. Yeah. And all of this is done remotely, right?
Correct.
I mean, we're a remote first company, so all of our interviews are done by video conference.
Right.
Okay. Well, what advice do you have to help candidates prepare for these video interviews?
I know it's given, but 100% number one and most important thing, make sure you're having a good connection and that you're in the right setting. We don't enjoy seeing people joining interviews from coffee shops or car. You just want to give that respect and time investing into the recruitment process.
Definitely.
So that goes perhaps further than you would expect.
And it makes a strong first impression,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
Exactly.
What about the filters in the background?
We are getting more and more flexible with it, but perhaps don't put some really funny pictures of your cat doing the weird...
Or your face is a cat?
Exactly, like the meme that we saw. Yeah, exactly.
And what about for other recruiters? Do you have any advice to help them kind of in their best practices to make sure that they're setting up their candidates for success?
Yes, be open-minded, do not have bias. Give candidates a chance to prove their worth.
I love that. Well, we're almost nearing the end of our time here together. So Nadia, tell me, what keeps you inspired to continue delivering wow as a career matchmaker?
I love my job. I really feel that I'm in the right place in the right time. But I guess the proof of my satisfaction is when I go to the office and I see my hires becoming managers and being happy and saying, hey, Nadia, years ago, thank you so much for hiring me because now I'm surrounded by the people I hired and we're growing and we're developing this most amazing product or a partnership and it's going to disrupt the world as money. You know, Revolut is such a fantastic brand. I'm a very passionate user, so matching these two things together is just a perfect match in heaven.
Yeah, and like that joy, you see these people doing well in their job, just makes you want to keep doing it.
Exactly. I always say recruitment for me is almost like somebody would ask me to volunteer, and I would be more than happy to keep doing that.
Amazing.
Yes.
Okay, one final question. What advice would you give to yourself when you were just starting out in your career?
Be brave.
Oh, I love that.
Yes, there were days when I was a little bit insecure and perhaps holding back on some big ideas and big thoughts. Had I started talking a lot more and being outspoken about it, perhaps I might be in a different position, but it's never too late to start being brave.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, and you were one to know that you can start a new career, to have a different path, no matter where you are in your life, from being a flight attendant. And you were also a dancer singer, right?
Yeah, I traveled to many, many countries with my dancing club, and I just miss those days. I mean, we can always, meet and we can go for salsa or bachata.
You can always redefine yourself.
Yes.
You're not limited, right?
Exactly. But you have to be brave.
Well, thank you so much, Nadia, for being with us. Recruitment extraordinaire, superstar, and career matchmaker.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you, everyone, for listening. You can hit subscribe, and you can follow us on LinkedIn or Instagram Insider. Thanks for tuning in to the Insider Podcast, where we explore Revolut's rocket ship from the inside out. Until next time, remember, the sky's not the limit, it's just the beginning. Revolut, change the way you money.